Good, happy Monday evening, February 10, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Monday evening, so let's begin. First up, we begin with breaking news. Maine man charged with second-degree murder in Stratham death. Robert Pavot, 20, faces charges. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
And we're actually here today to officially launch our campaign to win the great state of New Hampshire in 2020. The best is yet to come.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Good morning. The suspect will be here later this morning to be arraigned on these new charges. The Attorney General's office has identified the victim as a 46-year-old woman, and the suspect is a 20-year-old from Berwick, Maine. Robert Paveo now faces 2 counts of second-degree murder. Police from several surrounding towns responded to Timberland headquarters Sunday afternoon for this incident. A spokesperson for the company says they are aware of it. At this point, it's unclear if the victim was an employee there, and right now, we are still waiting for her autopsy results. We're live in Brentwood this morning. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And also, we can tell you the Maine man is charged with second-degree murder in connection with the suspicious death of a woman in Stratham. The Attorney General's office announced the arrest of Robert Pavot, 20, of Berwick, Maine, early Monday morning. Pavot is charged with 1 count of second-degree murder for knowingly causing the death of an adult female by assaulting her, and 1 count of second-degree murder for recklessly causing the death of an adult female under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life by assaulting her, according to the Attorney General's office. Pavot is scheduled to appear in Rockingham Superior Court in Bretton Wood. The victim has only been identified as a 46-year-old woman. An autopsy is planned sometime Monday. Police responded to the Timberland headquarters in Stratham Sunday afternoon. The company said it was aware of the incident and was working to gather more information. President Trump arrives in Manchester on Air Force One. Thousands filing into SNHU Arena in downtown Manchester ahead of the Trump rally. President Donald Trump promised in an early morning tweet he'd shake up the Dems a little bit at his rally tonight. He's not expected to disappoint his supporters. Holding his first major campaign event since being acquitted by the U.S. Senate of House-brought impeachment charges, the president, ready to enjoy himself on the eve of first-in-the-nation primary, is expected to tell an estimated 12,000 supporters at SNHU Arena that he looks forward to defeating the Democratic nominee in the fall election. Thousands waited outside in the rain, some overnight, and beginning entering the arena about 2 p.m. By 5:30 p.m., there were few empty seats left. inside the arena gym of Franconia wearing Keep America Great hat and a t-shirt saying, "I'm so sick of Democrats," told WMUR that he actually can't vote for Trump in Tuesday's primary because he is in fact a registered Democrat. He said he voted in the past for both Democrats and Republicans, but voted for Trump in 2016 and will happily do so again in November. Over and over, they have the same problem, and it's likely they're getting worse, he said. If anyone is division, it's the Democrats. I don't like a lot about Trump, the personality, but man, the guy gets things done, he said. Trump last visited the state in August, telling thousands at the same venue that he was kicking off his re-election campaign in the state that I love, which proved him with his first ever victory, a win in the first in the nation primary 4 years ago. He lost New Hampshire in the general election to Hillary Clinton by only 2,700 votes out of about 750,000 cast. But in the current election, his campaign and the Republican National Committee have been working to try to ensure a victory in New Hampshire. Trump came to the state hours after releasing a $4.8 trillion budget proposal that included cuts to student loan assistance, affordable housing efforts, food stamps, and Medicaid. It includes additional spending for the military, national defense, and border enforcement, including a border wall. Trump's proposal does not eliminate the Affordable Care Act, but calls for reduced spending on Medicaid expansion programs, but it does not reduce Social Security or Medicaid benefits. According to the New York Times, most of the administration initiatives to save money on Medicaid are cost reduction proposals first offered under former President Barack Obama. Early this morning, Trump tweeted, "We'll be in Manchester, New Hampshire tonight for a big rally. Want to shake up the Dems a little bit. They have a really boring deal going on. Still waiting for the Iowa results. Votes were fired. Big crowds in Manchester." Former Trump campaign manager Corey Landowski told WMUR at the rally, "The president loves New Hampshire and his rally would be fantastic reminder of the strong economic he has brought to the state and the nation." New Hampshire Democratic Party Chairman Raymond Buckley responded to Trump's tweet by telling reporters he is giving an enormous boost to the Democratic candidates by reminding people of why it's so important to vote, to participate, and get ready for November 2020. His re-election to Trump holding a rally on primary eve in the Granite State. "I think it's thunder," Buckley said, but his ego can't stand the idea that there's something going on and he's not in the middle of it, and it's backfired on him before, and I think it's going to backfire on him this time. Buckley, during a conference call with reporters, did not mention impeachment, focusing instead on what he said were Trump's broken promises. He cited health care and Trump's attempts to end protection for people with pre-existing interesting conditions. Trump's proposals to cut Medicare and said Trump abandoned a pledge to cut prescription drug costs. But at the arena, State Republican Party Communication Director Joe Sweeney told WMUR how important it is to the party and Republican voters to have the president in the state this time. It's a great reminder to Republican voters that there is a Republican primary, and that while the Democrats have been all over the state talking about their out-of-touch programs and how they want to radically change the government, the president is talking about his accomplishments and his promises made, promises kept. The president is going to be on fire when he gets here, NHGOP Chair Steve Sputnik added later. He just had the best week of his presidency between a phenomenal Grand Slam home run with the State of the Union, and next day he's acquitted. The Republican senators who voted to acquit the president voted to uphold the Constitution of the United States and protect all of the citizens of this country. Vice President Mike Pence headlining event in Portsmouth before joining Trump at rally. Vice President will later join President Donald Trump at rally in Manchester. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
We started this campaign because the old style of politics is broken. Our challenges require a new generation of solutions. We are ready for a politics of belonging, boldness, action. Let's turn the page.
Governor Sununu, former Senator Ayotte, Ivanka Trump, Corey Lewandowski, and especially to Officer Jerry Flynn, Sergeant Chris Ryan, and all the amazing men and women of law enforcement from all across.
Okay, that is some video from Mike Pence's speech today in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Sorry about that. Today. Vice President Mike Pence spoke to supporters at a Cops for Trump event Monday afternoon in Portsmouth after arriving in New Hampshire via Air Force 2. Pence spoke to supporters at the event at the Sheraton Portsmouth Harborside Hotel in Portsmouth. Pence will later join President Donald Trump for a rally at 7 p.m. in Manchester. Voter information, how to register, polling places, voter ID, and report problems. Let's take a look at that full list. Here is some important information about voting in New Hampshire for tomorrow. Primary election day, tomorrow, February 11, voters may register at the polls. Not sure where to vote? Go to the Secretary of State's website to search by name or address. Are you registered? Check your party registration. Problems at the polls. Information on registering and voting. To vote, you must have a valid photo ID. And And that is all the information you need to know about voting tomorrow for New Hampshire primaries. If you want to see this list again, we will share it with you right after the Riley King Newscast. Elizabeth Warren speaks to voters in Rochester, New Hampshire. Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren spoke at a Get Out the Vote rally Monday afternoon in Rochester. Andrew Yang speaks at Town Hall in Portsmouth. Democratic presidential hopeful Andrew Yang held a town hall event Monday in Portsmouth as part of a series of a town hall event across the state. Bernie Sanders speaking to voters at a town hall in Rindge. Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders is continuing his final campaign swing before the primary. He held an event in Rindge among other planned stops. Joe Biden holds Get Out the Vote rally in Guilford. Other stops planned. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden addressed supporters at a Get Out the Vote rally in Guilford during a final push for voters for the votes. Pete Buttigieg has primary eve events in Plymouth, Milford, and Exeter. Democratic presidential hopeful Pete Buttigieg met with voters in Plymouth as part of his pre-primary campaign swing. Amy Klobuchar plans several Get Out the Vote events. Democratic presidential candidate Amy Klobuchar held a Get Out the Vote event Monday morning in Keene as part of a series of events planned Monday. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how the U.S. stock market closed this evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you, as you can see. Dow jumps 170 points. Amazon leads S&P 500 and Nasdaq to record highs. Stocks rose on Monday, rebounding from a decline earlier in the day, led by solid gains in tech shares such as Amazon. Police officers in New York City targeted by one suspect. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Police officers here in New York City ambushed in a pair of shootings by the same suspect. The gunman, you see him there, opening fire this morning inside a police precinct in the Bronx. One officer was hit and wounded, police returning fire. That shooter out on parole for an attempted murder conviction, surrendering only after firing every round in his gun. The assassination attempt followed an earlier attack. That same suspect walking up to a marked police van, allegedly asking for directions, then pulling the trigger. Both officers hit are expected to survive, and tonight police are calling the suspect a coward. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is outside that precinct tonight.
Tonight, the chilling video, a gunman calmly walking into the 41st precinct in the Bronx. An officer seen ducking for cover after hearing gunshots. The gunman then running into another room, his weapon drawn. You can see another officer responds to the scene. In the exchange, one lieutenant is shot in the arm. Police say the suspect unloading his entire clip, eventually dropping to the ground. His gun seen thrown across the precinct floor. Officers then move in, swarming the suspect. One officer punching him repeatedly, while more than a dozen race in.
I will point out that this coward immediately laid down, but only after he ran out of bullets.
It was just 12 hours earlier, also in the Bronx, when police say the same man ambushed 2 officers in a police van.
9066 and shots fired. In the van. That's right here.
Authorities say the suspect asked the officers for directions before shooting one of them in the neck. The gunman then running away. The officer's partner immediately driving to the nearest hospital.
This was an attempt to assassinate police officers. We need to use that word because it was a premeditated effort to kill.
Police say the suspect, Robert Williams, has a lengthy criminal history. He was convicted of attempted murder in 2002 and paroled in 2017. Both officers rushed to the hospital, expected to make a full recovery. Wounded officer Paul Struffolino released from the hospital to the applause of his fellow officers, lining up to pay tribute.
Thank God that each and every one of them will be okay. We have 2 officers injured. They will be okay in the end.
Stephanie Ramos joins us now from the precinct where the second shooting took place. And Stephanie, the other wounded officer, also expected to be released from the hospital?
That's exactly right, Tom. Police tell us that second injured officer is expected to be released from the hospital. A huge sigh of relief for this community and the NYPD. But as you can see, it's still a very active scene here. Police tape up and police standing guard around that precinct. Tom.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Monday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. They'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.